when sports become about something outside of the sport itself, it just makes it less enjoyable. And NIL is currently doing that to college sports. My brother and I, we are wanting to watch the Arkansas Razorbacks play football in every SEC stadium. Grew up an Arkansas fan, lived in Arkansas for over a decade. I was born there. My dad was born and raised there. My mom lived there for quite some time as well. Okay, so I love the Arkansas Razorbacks. And so because of that, and just SEC football in general, my brother and I, we're slowly, very slowly, because we're young and broke, so it's a pretty slow grind right now. We're slowly working our way to going to all these different SEC stadiums. So we've been to 2 games so far. We went to Tuscaloosa, right, to watch Arkansas play Alabama in November of 2021. And then this previous Saturday, we went to Auburn to watch Arkansas play Auburn. We had a blast at both. Had an absolutely outstanding time. Long car rides, long conversations, catching up just on everything that's going on. But at the game itself, at the Auburn game on Saturday, I couldn't help but notice one glaring difference between our 2 experiences, one being at Auburn and one being at Alabama. And this glaring difference made the Alabama visit so much more enjoyable. NIL became a thing in June of 2021. Caleb and I went to the Alabama game in November of 2021. NIL then was still, a little baby. No one really knew what it was. Okay, in November 2021, people were still naive enough to think that this wouldn't turn into pay-to-play like it is right now. And at the Alabama game, we're sitting down. We're in a sea of crimson. Okay, season ticket holders around us talking about Alabama. And the discussion was about the stories of the players. Okay, they discussed, hey, this guy went to high school 30 minutes from here, right? And he came in as a freshman, and he barely played. We thought that he might transfer and sit out a year because that was still a thing. But no, instead, he decided to stay. Nick Saban helped him develop, and now he's this awesome player, and he's going to be, a second-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft. That was the conversation when we were in Tuscaloosa in 2020-21. Then Saturday, we go to Auburn. Didn't hear any of that at the Auburn game. None of it whatsoever. All of the conversations around me, all of the comments around me were about NIL. It was about how they paid this player this much money to transfer in, and why would they do that? Because he just dropped that pass. And it was all about that. It was all about figuring out whether or not this receiver or corner or offensive lineman or defensive lineman or quarterback that transferred in was worth the money that they were being paid. And NIL is in the process of ruining college sports, because one of the best things about college sports is development stories and seeing guys get better over time. As I sat in the crowd at Auburn on Saturday and I listened to the fans around me, none of the comments, none of the complaints were about the actual game. It was all about the NIL. I heard things said like, why are we paying that receiver $100,000 to drop that pass? Why am I giving to the collective if this is the product that we're going to put on the field? I heard Dan Dockich, who shows on this station from noon to 3 every day. You can listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app. I heard him on this show yesterday asking people the simple question of, why do you give to Indiana's collective for their basketball team to not make the tournament? And it is a great question. NIL is slowly lessening the sport. It's becoming less and less about the coaches and the players and developing guys, and it's becoming more and more about how rich is your alumni base. And that simply shouldn't be the case. Successful college teams in any sport, football, basketball, baseball, badminton, bowling, whatever. Successful college teams in any sport should be successful because they recruited and coached better. And that is no longer the case. Now, successful college teams are the ones with the deepest pockets. Okay, and it has taken some of the joy out of college sports. Non-Power 4 schools have become glorified JUCOs. That's really what they've become. If Ball State finds a great player at Center Grove, right, and they bring him in and he's like a 2-star recruit and they invest in him and they develop him and they turn him into a good player, guess what happens? Some bigger, richer school swoops in and takes the player simply because they have more money. I have sat back and watched the drama of the WNBA ruin the joy of watching the game. And I feel like I'm slowly witnessing this. I feel like I'm slowly witnessing the same thing with NIL, do the same thing to college sports. And then I wake up this morning, and the first thing I always do is check Twitter because stuff happens at 3 a.m. and I'm not awake at that time. And I stumble upon, not really, it was in my face immediately, this Matthew Sluka story. This guy, starting quarterback at UNLV, who has given himself a red shirt and is going to transfer out of UNLV because of some NIL disputes. And the original report, and it wasn't even a report, it's what Matthew Sluka said. He said that he wasn't being given everything he was promised at UNLV. Here's the thing about UNLV. Barry Odom is the head football coach. He was previously the defensive coordinator at the University of Arkansas. I know people that know Barry Odom. And everything that I know about Barry Odom, everything that I've been told, everything that I've heard, is that Barry Odom is a stand-up guy. He's a nice guy. Okay, he's a guy that Chris Ballard would love to hire because he's nice and he's loyal and he follows through on his word and he does things, quote unquote, the right way. So when Matthew Sluka came out and basically accused UNLV of not following through on their NIL money, I knew something was up. And sure enough, as the story continued to develop, more rumors, different reports have come out about why he's actually redshirting and looking to transfer. There are 3 rumors. Another school offered him more money, which is very possible because even though teams aren't supposed to tamper, it happens all the time. And if this is the case, then whatever school he transfers to should be punished pretty severely because you aren't supposed to be able to tamper and it continues to happen. But hey, whatever. The second rumor, the second report is that he walked into Barry Odom's office, demanded more NIL money. Barry Odom didn't have it. He was like, no. Okay, we told you we were going to pay you this much. We did. Sorry. You have to honor that. And he was like, no, I don't. I'm going to redshirt and transfer. That honestly seems like the most likely thing going on here. And then the third option is that Sluka is telling the truth and someone isn't paying what was promised, which I have a hard time believing that a Barry Odom-led program would happen. But here's the truth. No matter which of these things is true, it tells you a lot about where not only college football is right now, but college sports in general. College sports used to be about the university. It used to be about the team. And it's awesome. It really is because I sit back and I think part of why people don't like the NFL or the NBA is there's a lot of drama around money, right? Brandon Ayuk, holding in, not practicing because he wants a bigger deal. Trent Williams doing the exact same thing. Jamar Chase did that with the Bengals. T. Higgins threatened to do it. CeeDee Lamb did it in Dallas. And people just don't like dealing with that. They don't like reading about that and having to put up with that. Okay? And this is what we're starting to see in college sports. The beauty of college sports for the longest time was it was more about the name on the front than it was about the name on the back. And we live in a society that is incredibly selfish. And college sports wasn't like that. It was about the university and the name on the front. And with the introduction of NIL, that is no longer the case. Everyone is out for themselves. There are parents and adults getting involved. Because I guarantee you that Matthew Sluka, quarterback at UNLV, didn't come to this conclusion on his own. His parents got involved, an agent got involved, and he asked for more money. Or another school got involved and tried to lure him away. No matter which is true, NIL is clearly a problem in college sports. And so, and everyone knows it. I think that's the most frustrating part about this. I don't think there's anyone out there that's like, yeah, NIL is perfect. No, everyone realizes that there are major, major issues. There needs to be some sort salary cap. I'm not throwing out any idea that you probably haven't heard yet. But it's an issue, and it needs to be fixed. And here's my final issue with this Matthew Sluka transferring out of UNLV story. He's not very good. They're 3-0, yeah, but he's only thrown for like 380 yards on the year. He's only completing 44% of his passes, and this guy wants more money? What? That is absurd. Even if UNLV, I'm making these numbers up here. Let's say UNLV was like, hey, if you come play here, we'll give you $500,000, right? And he showed up and they only gave him, $400,000. I don't know. I don't feel like completing 44% of your passes and not even averaging 200 passing yards a game is necessarily worth $500,000. And yet here he is either leaving a school for potentially more money or going into Barry Odom's office, head coach at UNLV, and demanding more and him saying no. It is ridiculous. And NIL is slowly in the process of ruining college sports.